welcome to the Booty Call to Bride channel. I am your girl, Michelle Tillman, and today we are talking Married at First Sight, Season 13, Episode 15, and child. I've worked on tons of reality shows in the Charlotte area, so that's why I'm here to give you my 2 cents on Married at First Sight. This is my review for Memory Lane, a dirty little secret. So let's go ahead and start off with Val and Johnny. Because in all the little groups, y'all talking about Johnny. So, anywho, Val comes back and she realizes, like, her and Johnny, she not just now realizes, but she mentions that they did not really interact throughout the entire weekend. And he realized that his dad had inadvertently shaped him into being who he was by not being involved in his life. And he had wrote the letter because, like, the experts had them write letters to their younger selves and then read them to their match. So he read his letter and it was deep and it was about pain from his dad. And as he was reading the letter, I couldn't help but think, like, you would think this would make you more committed, but it's like going against what is ingrained in you growing up. And some people, whatever happened to them growing up, like, they do the complete opposite to make sure they never do that. And then some people find themselves like, how am I now being what I did not want to be? And so I kind of feel like Johnny is absolutely being what he did not want to be. And then, so they end up going to see Dr. Pepper, and they're like telling her, yeah, we're on level 1. And she was like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, basically, they're just kind of like rebuilding their friendship, yada, yada, yada. Then Johnny does this whole bombshell talking about, yeah, I talked to your best friend, Sarah, and Sarah said, this is exactly how Bao acts in relationships. What she does is breaks people all the way down and then tries to build them back up to being exactly who she wants them to be. Johnny, brother, I'm sorry to break the news, but you just described yourself. How has Bao broke you down? I'll wait. How has Bao broke you down? You're the one who basically said, I ain't never been attracted to you. I wasn't attracted to you 15 years ago. I would rather be with anyone but you. And then the next breath, you're like, okay, well, let's try to work it out. You're the one who broke her down, and you're the one who's trying to make her be exactly what you want her to be. So, first of all, Sarah, sis, you're not a good friend. Bao, I hope you never talk to her again. Bao, matter of fact, I hope you light that tail up when you see her in person, okay? Because she's not your friend. But I beg to differ and wonder, did Johnny really talk to her? Because he described himself. Maybe she said, that's what you're doing to Bao. Maybe he got it confused and was like, no, that's what you're doing. That's not what Bao's doing. I don't know. But they are totally, like, not going to work out. And they've already claimed it. I mean, it's already clear to everyone. But Dr. Pepper said she wants to... she got reports on all of them. And even though Sarah betrayed on both... Bao feels betrayed on both sides by Johnny and by Sarah. Dr. Pepper is thinking that Johnny doesn't want to do the emotional work, and that maybe Sarah did see Bao in past relationships, but she hasn't seen her in this one. And Bao made a very good point. You know what? I don't tell her everything about our marriage because this is different than before. Like, yeah, all of y'all dated crazy in the past. That's why you're on the show now. It didn't work. So how can you go by what the friend said she used to do? She's trying to do something different. And then Johnny has another little hissy fit talking about whenever he decides to walk away, she's like, okay, well, I'm here when you want to talk and I'm going to eat your food. And and he was like, see, there you go, trying to make me the bad one, blaming me for everything. Sir, you're the one who's walking away. She's not even blaming you for anything. She's just letting you know that I'm still open to talk. So literally, she's being her mom who is staying and trying to be willing to talk, and he's being his dad who is walking out. If that ain't something about family history, genetics, all playing all into one, and that's where they're at. It ain't about blaming you, Johnny. You're literally the weirdo. You're literally the one who's just making up nothing, something out of nothing. Okay, Michaela and Zach. Oh, this week confirms absolutely that Michaela has lost it. And again, like I said last week, I promise you I'm not trying to be funny. And they try to go in on me in the groups because I said that she may need some medication. Listen, she might need, I believe, and so does one of my friends, who is a professional, that maybe she has a personality disorder because she seriously, and like one of the girls in the group, I can't remember her name, but I told her I was gonna shout her out in one of the groups. Totally forgot her name that quick. I think it might be Gina or something like that. But she was like, they slapped a little wig on Michaela, brought her in there after 48 hours sober and just made her talk, and was mad that Zach didn't want to talk. And then Zach comes back like a day later, all excited, acting like he won't talk. So I'm like, okay, both of y'all need to go somewhere and talk to somebody and be locked up in a room until it gets better, because what is going on? If you're watching, make sure you give me a thumbs up. So I'm just like, okay, Michaela is totally acting shocked that Zach didn't want to talk to her. Sis, you flipped benches, you hit foosball tables, you was like throwing arms and doing all this and walking real fast. Like, why would he want to talk to you? You tried to take his suitcase, you tried to hold him back in the room. What man is gonna stay around when you doing all that? And then Dr. Pepper tried to, she basically, Michaela said, I don't even know where he got that I be overreacting from, or I forgot the exact word she said, but like, I haven't even shown him anything crazy, basically. And Dr. Pepper was like, really? Okay, well, can I challenge you to tell me, like, what action or what thing that you could take back? Then she said, okay, well, if I could, I would take back my panic attack. Sis, I know people, and I myself have dealt with panic attacks from anxiety and stuff like that. Sis, that was not a panic attack. Like, that was a straight manic behavioral switch that you did. That was not panic attacks, or don't look like that, okay? I mean, maybe somebody's out there does, but I'm not accepting that answer, okay? Because that didn't look like panicking. It looked like you lost control and you wanted to control the situation and you couldn't. And then this is what I hate. My father passed away when I was very young. And it's still emotional for me even to this day if I were to speak deeply about it. But what I don't like is how she tried to use her father's death, even though it's way more recent than me, as how she tried to use that to manipulate Dr. Pepper into feeling like, well, this is my abandonment issue and he just keeps leaving. Sis, you told him, well, go then. Go, go. You can't tell someone to go and then get mad when they go. How does that work? It's not abandonment when you kick them out. But then you change your mind and say, no, 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 no. Wait. No, come back. Stay. That's not abandonment. That is not abandonment. If I had my dictionary and I wasn't recording on my phone, I would look up abandonment in the dictionary so I could read it to you. Google abandonment. That is not what abandonment is. So my whole issue with her is using the dad. Even Dr. Pepper was like, well, you can't. Let me see. She said, don't project your father's death on Zach. That's a whole word. Because you knew you looked real bad right now. So Michaela was like doing anything she could to try to like win the argument. So, it's because of my dad's death and I feel abandoned. Even though I told you to leave, you should have stayed anyway. Like, I have no empathy left for her. And even the way the editing was done, it's like production was over even trying to make her look legitimate anymore. They just totally like, yeah. She's saying all this, but yeah, she's done, totally done. And Then Zach calls back up for the closure meeting. So Michaela's still looking out there, looking lost, looking crazy, looking like she needs some padded walls or medication. And again, I'm not trying to be funny. She seriously needs that stuff. But Zach came back in, had him a little flip switch, like he got a happy pill or something, and he just was so excited to possibly talk to her later whenever she was ready. So she came back to the second meeting and she didn't want to talk. I'm like, what is going on here? Which both of y'all have some serious, deep-rooted emotional personality disorders that you gotta work through. And if you're watching, make sure you give me a thumbs up. So Michaela and Zach, neither one of y'all get a pity party anymore. Both of y'all have issues. You know, Michaela's might be like way up here, and Zach's are like here, but y'all both have the issues, okay? If you're watching, please give me a thumbs up. So Dr. Pepper also asked, did you guys affirm each other through the marriage? They did. They affirmed each other. It looks like they affirmed each other in the bedroom. Like, the poo nanny must have been amazing. The D must have been amazing because it's like they have this connection that way. And I'm sure, you know, crazy sex is probably real good. He probably loved that crazy sex from her. Like, if she's wild like that, how she be flipping tables and maybe she be flipping on that thing like that. I don't know. Maybe that's what makes her being with her amazing. But what I'm saying is something about them draws each other to the one another, but it's toxic and it's disgusting how they are just any counselor ever tell you to try to work something like that when you are literally putting your life in danger because you don't know what she gonna do. Of course he left because if he would have tried to fall asleep in that bed with her and she get mad in the middle of the night, she said she was the queen of petty. I ain't staying all night with nobody who claims to be that petty, taking batteries out of smoke detector. Not at all. Yeah, so that whole energy shift from Zach after he had his whatever that made him come back happy. I'm so confused. Maybe what's the Val gave him some and he was feeling good and rejuvenated. I don't know. Okay, Ryan and Brett. Okay, let's just get to it. Y'all want to talk about the whole texting thing, the whole app. So Ryan gets caught up, and Brett is like, yo, one of my friends said you matched with her on Tinder today. And then he's like, well, I mean, I downloaded it, but it's not active. And she was like, but you downloaded. That shows where your mind was at. Like, you couldn't wait a week. You couldn't wait 7 days. Like, why couldn't you wait 7 days before you did that? Well, it wasn't supposed to show active. I was trying to wait till. Not only did you embarrass her, but sir, that's gotta be some type of like penalty for breaking your confidentiality because you're showing like to other people who are on that app like what the outcome of the show is before it even airs. So it's gotta be something. You might owe them some money or something. Cause you can't be out there hunting and getting caught up when the season ain't even aired yet. So how about that? And he just had all these excuses. He's like, well, I can show you on my phone. She like, I don't wanna see that. I don't want to see that. When you caught up, and he just backed out. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna get out of here. And just like, yeah, you need to get out because there's nothing else to say. You got caught up. You lied. You tried to act like you was a nice guy all this time, but really, you couldn't wait to jump back in the dating pool. I mean, this is what I said in one of the Facebook groups. I said Brett was just another very long first date for him, and he couldn't wait to go on the next one. He's been on all these 100 first dates. She was just another very long, 6-week long first date, and he was done with her because he wasn't attracted to her. All the little guys in the group say she cute from the nose up. Again, I don't think her teeth are that bad, but that's what they be saying. So Brett and like none of the couples so far have any type of chance. If you're watching, give me a thumbs up. Gil and Mirla. Gil was telling his story about his father's shooting and the passing away at the location where they went back home and kind of like showed everything like about their past to try to bring them closer. And it was such a sad story. And to me, it looked like Mirla was going to cry. Like she was emotional, but she was like, Yes, and when someone's telling a story like that, you have to be careful to not be more emotional than they are. That's how I feel. Like, you don't need to be sobbing if they're not sobbing. I mean, if he's able to tell the story the way he wants to tell it, and especially when she herself has lost her father in that type of way, like, I think her emotions or her reaction was appropriate. Some people were saying she looked like she was cold as a brick and she ain't had no heart, icebox where her heart used to be. I mean, I thought she was okay. I thought it was okay. She took him to the volleyball court, which definitely didn't have any depth at all. If you're watching, give me a thumbs up. She took him to the volleyball court and was so happy that she could still fit her volleyball jersey, which that, okay, that's cute. Then they sit down with Dr. Pepper, and she's like, if they love each other, something like that. Gil began to say, she was like, wait, y'all keep playing around with this. Like, have y'all actually said those words? And he's like, no, because I've said it in the past. I didn't mean it, so I don't want to say this prematurely. And Dr. Pepper said she was happy that he had such integrity with using the L word. And then she started asking him, like, what about those questions that you had for your future? Like, can you stay together? Based on those unanswered questions. And one of them was like, what do you plan to do as far as savings? Mirla, of course, had the big stacks in her bank account, and Gil proved that he does not have all the saving, even though he's acting like, well, I save this and I do that and I eat cheap because of this and that, but he don't got no money saved up like Mirla. So they said they agreed they'd put 20% down on the house. They wouldn't have enough money to have a nanny and cover their mortgage with no issues. And then that's when they'll feel comfortable to move forward in that area of their life. But it seems like a real sore spot still. Like, everything else seems to be going great with them. But when it comes to that money, and he was like, well, if it would take us 3 years to save and do all those things so we could start a family, how about you just stop buying shoes and it take 1.5 years? And she was like, well, but at what cost? See, I'm kind of like with her, like, you could do the Dave Ramsey way and save money and eat beans and rice and beans. And I'll get to that later with Rachel and Jose. Or you can do it the way where you're not like his or her money. I watch their podcast and like how they're like, yeah, but we still want to go on vacation sometimes. We still want to do these things sometimes. Like, we don't want to totally neglect our life and our fun and our family times because we're trying to save up for something. So it's just two different philosophies on how people, want to reach their goals. So you can't be mad at someone for doing one way, especially when the majority of the money going in that savings is going to be coming from her. So I know what's his is mine and what's hers is mine and all that good stuff. But we can't act like it's not all her money and it's not going to be her sacrificing. He wouldn't barely be sacrificing anything by her saving more because his lifestyle would not shift at all. And I know she doesn't need more shoes and need more bags, but I'm just saying, like, some people saying she's all about the money. Yeah, but dang, I mean, she's still got a big savings account. So most people who like are frivolous don't have the savings to back up. So anyway, so speaking of beans and rice, Rachel and Jose, and they were talking about their, experiences growing up and how Jose took it as a horrible thing that they ate beans and rice all the time, like they were so poor. And Rachel was like, but y'all lived in a house. Like, in my opinion, if you live in a house, ain't no poor, ain't no broke about you. Like, you had your house built from the ground up and all this. And she just was like, not understanding why he associated something that is culturally ingrained and embedded in the Latino community, like Hispanic community, why he was like, thought that was so bad. I don't know. But you have those people like the Dave Ramseys who say eat beans and rice because it's so cheap when you're trying to reach your financial goals. So I understand where that whole concept of beans and rice being something cheap comes from, but then also I'm not a part of a community where that is like a food staple. So it's kind of like hard for me to see that from a clear standpoint. But basically, he just seems so shallow and all about, the money. And then Rachel confesses that she called one of her exes whenever he locked her out. But this is the thing. He locked her out. We saw her go and knock on every single person's door trying to get in somewhere. He heard her knocking and left her out. So if her ex is the only person she had left to call, we don't know how many people she called before him. We don't know if she called her homegirls, family, sisters, brothers. What, she probably didn't even want to call her family because she was probably embarrassed. So she probably called somebody else like, hey, this dude locked me out. She probably thought y'all was never going to talk again. So he seemed like he didn't totally overreact about it. And he has to remember he put her in that situation to feel like she need to call someone else to save her. So that's kind of what happens. So, anywho, that's all for this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give me a thumbs up, share, like this video, and I will see y'all next week. And if you're watching all the way to the end, let me know what other shows I should review. I see Kevin on stage and Melissa and Angel, that chick Angel reviewing Insecure. I have never watched it, but I've thought about it. I also think about reviewing Ready for Love with Tommy. So I don't know. Y'all let me know. And I'll probably start doing some more reviews. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.